guys, I am going to cook dinner right now and my laptop is kind of frozen. It's a really old laptop, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to make some really simple, oh, what is, sorry, I just spilled a ton of seeds. I'm going to be making some Whittier salad. Whittier is a type of fungus. It's really popular in Chinese cuisine. I soaked it for dry. If you've joined me before on a live, you know what they look like. This is what they look like. They just look like little black crunchy folds. They look like crumpled burnt paper, basically. And all you have to do is rinse and soak them for about an hour, and they rehydrate into these little bouncy jellies, and they're kind of gelatinized. What I'm going to do is just blanch these. I'm going to blanch some tofu. I'm going to make a salad with Whittier tofu and some shiso leaf that I bought from the farmer's market, and I'm also going to be making some quick pickled carrots so that I could eat some carrot pickles throughout the week. And tomorrow I'm thinking about cooking in the Instant Pot. Not today. Today's been a wash. I've just been eating like all of my sweets today, which has led me feeling pretty bad. Honestly, don't eat sugar all day like I just did. But I do want to show you, and maybe I'll take one more bite of sugar after saying how bad it is. I do want to show you the cake that I made from the scraps of our burnt arugula chocolate fudge filling. It turned into a cake that was pretty spongy and airy when it came out of the oven, like this high, and then when I left and came back after it had cooled, it was like this thin. So what I ended up doing was layering it in a jar with yogurt, and it's actually really delicious. It kind of looks like a Russian honey cake, just like multiple layers of thin cake with icing. I actually think it's really nice, and obviously won't ever be able to replicate it again, but as you can see, I ate most of it, and it's just Greek yogurt with layers of this cake, and it looks like a layered cake when I slice it into a spoon, and I've been enjoying this a lot. Very satisfying mush. But yeah, I am definitely trying to eat some non-sugary things for dinner. And we're also going to eat our vitamins. Vitamin check. I got a D, I got an evening primrose oil, I got a C, and I have my Codroitin for my joints. First thing I'm going to do is bring some water up to a boil. I'm going to blanch the tofu first because it's white, and I don't want the tofu to soak up the brown color that the Whittier will leach into the water. So, and also I think the tofu has a little bit of a creamier flavor that doesn't really interrupt with any other flavor profiles, whereas the Whittier kind of has this almost earthy mineral flavor that I don't love in tofu. So you can blanch for a minute if you want. You can blanch for 5. You can boil it. Just depends on when you feel like fishing it out, I guess. I'll salt the water a little bit. It gives the tofu a little flavor and makes it sturdier. Just using my cheap iodized salts for the blanch. Went to H Mart yesterday, got some more firm tofu, $1.29 for a pound of it. I thought it was a pretty good deal. One block of tofu usually lasts me 2 days. About 2.5 serving per day then. About 25 grams of protein per day. There's about 50 grams of protein in a 1 pound firm tofu block. I'm going to cut it pretty big for now. We can chop it up smaller later, but I don't want it crumbling in the blanched liquid. So I just did about 12 rectangular prisms. A little bit of salt in there. I hydrated a lot of wood ear, even though it didn't look like this much. I think I just covered the bottom of this bowl in a single layer, and it just grew to 5 times its size, basically. It's not, I wouldn't say it's chewy the way that mochi is chewy. I would say it's closer to like the sheerest layer of cartilage on a chicken bone. I think we all define textures differently. I don't call that chewy. I would say it's crunchy. Chewy reminds me of like chewing gum, glutinous things that kind of retains its amorphous, bouncy buoyancy in your mouth despite being chewed on. Wood ear doesn't have that kind of malleability. But sure, if you want to call that chewy. Like boba pearls are chewy to me. I wouldn't call those crunchy. Okay, what am I prepping? Carrots. I scrubbed these carrots. They're from the farmer's market. I don't think I'm going to peel them because I spent time scrubbing them. I'm just going to shred them. It's a lot of work to shred. Do I want to shred them? Maybe I'll peel it. I don't like the way that when I shred a carrot, I love the texture of the shredded carrot, but I hate the way it just like jumps all over the place in my kitchen. Maybe I'll just do a slow. And I'll just do peel shreds so that I control where the shreds go. This probably is way less efficient, but I guess I just felt like doing it this way. Rotating the carrot frequently so that the shreds stay thinnish. I might slice a little bit of an onion. Ooh, I guess it's still gonna bounce all over the place. Into this. This is highly inefficient. I am starting to regret my choices. But I did defrost a frozen package of salmon skin, and I do want to cook that in the Instant Pot tomorrow. TBD on whether or not I'll go live, because Instant Pot cooks are pretty uneventful, since I just throw everything into the pot and then we wait for like an hour. But I was thinking of Instant Potting the salmon skin with some toasted barley, spices. Okay. Life choices, reconsidering life choices right now, for sure. I hear the water boiling, so we'll move over to the stove soon and give my regretful life choice a break. Five carrots at the farmer's market. I ate one yesterday. I think it cost me $2. It was $2.50 a pound, which is more than double the price I usually see at grocery stores. I do think the texture of farmer's market carrots are more tender, but sometimes the flavor, I'm not very sure about. Carrots is one of those things I could not get at the farmer's market. Okay. Water is boiling. Tofu goes in. I'm going to boil it for 5 minutes, and then we'll put it somewhere. Like this bowl. Coming back here. I have no idea what anyone is saying because my laptop was frozen, and I'm going to try to click into the live now to see if I can read some of your comments. Oh, and I also want to cook parsnip. Is that going to happen today, or should I save that? IDK. H Mart sells salmon skin. I don't know about other stores, but I guess Asians like it, and I guess that's why they sell it. But also it makes sense, right? Because Americans sometimes just buy skinless fillets, and then what do you do with the skin? I wonder what happens to all the skin that they skin off of skinless fillets at American stores. But yeah, I got a packet of salmon skin for $2. I've been eating more fish than any other protein recently, and I feel like my body is getting ready to receive some animal meat, but I just don't really cook meat at home. I have such a resistance to it. tofu. Calm down. I should have bought more vegetables. I realized this when I was at the farmer's market, but I just wasn't feeling any of the vegetables. So then I went to a normal supermarket and I got some parsnips because I just feel like parsnips are such a good deal. I mean, it was $1.49 at the store I went to, or $1.59 at the store I went to, and I got 5 pretty big parsnips, and it came to under a pound. So I feel like it's a great deal. It's nice and sweet. I like sweet things. So I just got myself some parsnips. But now I'm like, what do I eat it with? So I think we can go ahead and just try to stir fry it. See if I want to eat that. And if I don't want to eat that, maybe I can add some water and make it into a cream sauce. Maybe blend it with some silken tofu and make it into a pasta sauce, which I did last time and seemed to like. Yeah, I don't know how you guys plan your meals, but I clearly don't. I just buy the stuff that's on sale or that feels like something I want to eat, and then I come home and figure out what to do with it. Okay, that's been 5 minutes for the tofu. Take them out, let them cool down, and then we'll just add the wood ear in here. Don't know if it's all gonna fit, but I will make it fit, I guess. The water is not quite submerging all of it, but it will do. I'll set a 4-minute timer on this because I don't want it to overcooked. I don't want to overcook the wood ears. They get a little soft and mealy when you cook them for too long, and I like to have a little more crunch retained in them. So in January, an editor from The Guardian reached out and asked me to develop some recipes. And one of the recipes that I developed contained a little shredded carrot pickle. So I'm just going to follow the proportions that I did for that, even though I guess I didn't weigh these carrots. But it's a pretty simple one. It's just literally sugar, salt, vinegar. I like a little bit of a sweet, salty pickle, especially in the summer. It feels very satisfying. I don't know what's going to happen with the Guardian recipes. I don't really even know where they're being used. Seemed like it was kind of like a on the DL sort of project, so I didn't ask too many questions. But if it ever goes live, I'll let you guys know. It was fun developing those recipes. I almost felt like I was going back to my delish days for a bit there. It's been so long since I've actually developed recipes. Do you guys have favorite ways to cook parsnips? I feel like I like them roasted, but after all the baking this weekend, I just don't want to. Turn on the oven again. I would have been finished with shredding the carrots by now for sure. Even with the cleanup. I don't know why I didn't do that. Sometimes I'm just stubborn. Sometimes I piss myself off with how stubborn I can be. So that's why I get it when other people get pissed off with me. I'm like, you know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Guys, I'm having a change of heart. Maybe I should cook the salmon tonight. I really don't want to cook the salmon tonight because I don't want to eat the salmon tonight. But I kind of want to not bleach, oh my god. I kind of want to blanch the salmon in this hot liquid while I have it because now I've heated my kitchen with this water. You know what? No, let's not do that. I always end up making these like optimization decisions that like burn myself out. I want to like squeeze and suck the marrow out of everything, and then I don't choke on the bone, but somehow I end up whacking myself over the head with the bone, so to speak. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, trying not to optimize everything because it kills me sometimes. I'm going to fish out the Whittier, let them cool, and I'm also gonna give them a chop after they've cooled. But they do have to cool off first because they're way too hot to handle. Sometimes I do cut them before they go into the blanch. I didn't do it today. That would be a smarter way to do it if I wanted the flavor to kind of stick better, because I think when you throw hot stuff into a flavor dressing, the flavor tends to enter the ingredient more readily, but too late. So let's finish our pickle here. Let me pull up my proportions. So for that recipe, I did 2 large carrots. So I'm gonna double everything. I'll throw these little nubbins in there too. We're gonna need 4 tablespoons of granulated sugar. I might dumb that down to 3 just because of my excessive sugar intake this week. And also these are smaller carrots. Then I need 2 teaspoons of salt. Wow, where did my salt go? I always end up losing track of my most popular salts. Here it is. I'm gonna use sea salt. 2 teaspoons of that. And then we're gonna need a 1/4 cup of rice vinegar, which is quite a bit of vinegar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was around 1/2 cup of vinegar. Each of those counts was relatively a tablespoon guesstimate. And then I just give it a mix. And I just let it sit. And I did say I was gonna throw some onions in here, didn't I? We can do that. We can cut up an onion, the only one that I have left. And I can prep it maybe to use up over the rest of the week. I'll just use 1/4 of it in our pickles. Thinly sliced like so. Distribute it. Then I've chopped up the rest of the onion, also thinly sliced, and I can use it tomorrow when I cook. Just put it in a bowl here. Mostly because I didn't want any plastic containers to soak up the onion smell. And then I'll cover it with one of my mini yogurt container lids. Almost a perfect fit, not quite. Okay. Tofu time. Let me move you closer to the scene. Yes. We're gonna drain again. Sometimes I don't even cut the tofu, I just tear it. Depends on my mood. Tearing it gives it cragglier surfaces, which can lead to more flavor absorption too. Honestly, it does not matter. It'll become mush anyway in the end. But yeah, boiling it in a little bit of salt water just makes it a lot more resilient to being handled. My mom told me this trick when I was recipe developing for Delish. Thanks, Mom. I don't think Mom would ever call herself a goddess in the kitchen, but surprising how much I've retained from the random tips she's given me over the years. So sometimes it's not really the formal education that matters. I know our society builds a lot onto the certification industry, diplomas and such, but I find that most of my life lessons come through just daily living and practice. That's the kind of knowledge that has stuck with me the most anyway. Okay, let me think about what to flavor this with. I think I'm going to use some of my fancy farmer's market ssamjang, which tastes a little bit like an earthier gochujang. Not as spicy, but still, this one is spicy. Got some fresh ginger. Gonna go ahead and just grate that in, about an inch piece. I saw this trick on Instagram apparently, that if you freeze ginger it becomes more easily grateable because it breaks down all the fibers and stuff. and it just turns into like juice. Haven't tried it. Can't vouch. Looked promising. Does make me wonder what it does to the flavor though. Like, I suspect that frozen ginger does not quite taste the same. I'm gonna go in with some black garlic, some scallions, some dried cilantro, powdered. Let's give this a mix first. I let the doenjang, or the samjang rather, come to temp a little bit with the hot tofu, just so it could blend a little bit easier. Great. Scallion powder. Basically making my own like little ramen packet seasoning here right now with spices. Some white pepper. Some black garlic, which is sweeter. I think it'll work well with that Korean samjang, and some cilantro. Yeah, get one of the microplanes. Super useful. You can use it for nutmeg. I use it for ginger. I use it for orange, lemon, lime zests. I love it. You can use it for little fine Parmesan. I'll leave the spices there in case I need to use more of it. And then, let's see. The wood ear is cool enough for me to handle, so I'll go ahead and start chopping that in as well. I just take a huge bundle of it and I just slice it thin, just so I'm not, you know, like trying to cram it into my open jaws. I had such an interesting dream last night / this morning. I think because Memo kept waking me up and I kept falling back asleep. I can't remember the details of it all, but it almost felt like a slightly Asian drama kind of plot line where, and with a little bit of magical realism, obviously, because dreams. But I feel like I was somehow like transported into this rich person's household, and maybe one of them was in love with me or something, but like the family was sussing me out to be of a lower class, like, you know, very Asian drama plot line. But then I like went on my own adventure and I found these public parks with these like sprinklers and skipping ponds, and the dream kind of just derailed from there, but it felt very exciting. It certainly felt way more eventful than my waking life, which is just making random salads and mush. So it's kind of really cool that my like interior self is living her best life in that dream world. I love it. I love that she lets me have a glimpse of her adventures too. I think that's pretty exciting. It's given me a lot of joy to think about like my dream self as a separate person sometimes. That's not totally separate from me, but is on a fundamental level a separate entity from me. Like, I don't relate to my dream self as myself all the time anymore. I think when I used to do that, I used to like try to understand the meaning of all the dreams that I dreamt, which was fun to psychoanalyze myself. You know, I do like doing that. But it's a whole other kind of framework and experience to think about my dream self as a totally different entity. Makes me feel like I'm watching my own movie sometimes. That's not really mine, but it is within my brain. That's cool. And who knows, right? Who knows what our reality actually is and what lies beyond all of this? Sometimes it gives me a sort of optimism and hope that, like, my dream world is real and that things aren't just this. I think especially as our world gets more myopic, tunnel vision, and dystopian, that almost feels like a glimmer of a delightful, fantastical beyond. All right? Tofu, Whittier salad, Samjan. I think we're gonna need a little bit of sesame oil in here, as well as some vinegar. I do have this beet pickling liquid that I might use instead of vinegar. I just finished eating these pickled beets. That might have been like over half a year old, honestly. But let me just taste this pickling liquid to make sure. Smells fine, but you know. Oh yeah, that's nice. It's got this like sweet edge too because of the beets. Salt, fat, acid, heat. I still haven't read that book. I have it. It's in my bookshelf. Just haven't read it. That sesame oil just makes everything come alive in terms of flavor. Wow. Okay. Let's give the salad a taste. I'm gonna eat out of this teacup that I drank out of because why not? I gotta wash it. Might as well get one more use out of it. And it's clear, so you can see what's in my bowl better. Always thinking of my viewers, you know? You're welcome. Okay, let's come back here. Let's come back here. Let's plug you in before my phone dies. Is this girl dinner? Mmm. Gonna add some fennel seeds in here just to see what that does. don't know what I was looking for. Maybe it'll get a little bit more married together in flavor as it sits, but I feel like I want to add, what if I add some of our carrots? Let's take a taste. See how these are pickling. Yum. Oh yeah. I bet these will be good in here. Oh yeah. Look who's here. Look who's here. Hello. Now this is a salad I could eat in one go. Believe it or not, you think I'm joking, but I have on certain days made a salad thinking it's gonna be good for 2 to 3 days, and then I just end up eating it all on the first day. It's quite satisfying though. These salads, relatively easy to make. I've been live for 50 minutes. I could have done that way faster if I weren't distracted by an audience, I think. And I did this a lot last summer too. Just blanch a bunch of things, make a salad with them, and enjoy. So good. So good and so easy. I like easy. Anyway, that's one. Should I cook the parsnip? What should I do with the parsnip? I do want to cook the parsnip. Because if I don't cook it, it's just going to shrivel in my fridge. And then I'm going to have to cook it anyway. I'm just not convinced of any which way to cook it. But parsnip quinoa sounds kind of good. By the way, wood ear is a very cooling food in the Chinese tradition, medicine, culinary sense. It's really good in the summer when you feel a little bit inflamed. It's so apparently really good for hypertension if you want to lower your blood pressure. So I highly recommend that you go to your Asian store and you get a packet of wood ear. Oh my goodness. I just over my entire bowl of dinner. Thank goodness it was not soupy. But yeah. Might be called black fungus. I get it in this package. There's a lot of different kinds of it. They look slightly different, but this is generally what they look like. Some of them are bigger flakes than the smaller crumbles that you see, and they average between $4 to $8 a packet. And you know, like, I decanted this bag into this jar and this container, and like, you don't use very much to make a meal. So I think it's also a very good value ingredient. I also rehydrated some mushrooms. I wonder if that's gonna be good with parsnips. Not sure. Okay. Memo? Hi. What do you think we should cook next, Memo? Should I do some parsnips, you think? Parsnippity sip? Here's the parsnips that I got for, I think, $1.50. Crazy, right? 30 cents per parsnip. I think that's a pretty good deal. And then I have this very, 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 very old red curry paste Thai kitchen that expired in 2021. January 2021. Let it be known. I took this from the Delish Test Kitchen when it was expired because they kept throwing out expired things. Let's use it. Let's use it on the parsnips. Let's just see what happens. Shall we? I will peel these parsnips because they came from the supermarket and not the farmer's market, so just not sure of their growing conditions and yada yada yada. They do smell good though. I love the smell of raw parsnips. Smells like a carrot and a celery got together. And had some black pepper thrown in there too. I don't have any coconut milk. That would have been really delicious with the curry paste. I have some yogurt. What are the creamy things that I have? I was thinking of buying some milk this weekend, but I did not, alas. I have some cheese. I don't think cheese and curry go together. Not the red curry Thai paste, anyway. Maybe I'll use some of the mushroom soaking liquid in here. Two tablespoons of olive oil goes in. Just gonna dice everything so that they cook up a little bit faster. Maybe I'll throw some of those onions in here. Sometimes, even in these inflationary times, I'm astounded by how much stuff I can buy still. Because when I think about it, $1.50 is really not a lot of money in this time. But I'm cutting up so much parsnips that I feel like it could feed me for a whole day. If really that's all I wanted to eat for the day. Might not be good for my digestive system though. Okay. You know, like half a pot of parsnips. I'm gonna throw some onions in here. this on and let's see how much curry paste we have. Not a whole lot. But I think enough. That was what, a heaping tablespoon? You want curry paste? You want curry paste? Is that why you're yelling? Here. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so, Busta. I rehydrated some of those lion's mane mushrooms that you saw in my pantry earlier. I actually have no idea what I was going to make. But now we're just going to use a little bit of it and get out all of our curry paste. Mushrooms are a naturally occurring source of MSG, so I'm hoping it'll give this some meaty flavors. I mean, maybe I can use one of the mushrooms in here and put the other one in my salmon tomorrow. Wow, it's so meaty. They're like sponges. I remember these mushrooms were hella expensive as far as dried mushrooms go. I think they were like almost $1 a mushroom. But I saw it at H Mart last year and I just wanted to buy it, I guess, because we were always talking about inflation getting worse, and I was like, all right, well, now's the time to try everything before they get even more expensive. So, let's try it. It's been in my pantry for long enough, huh? I've only heard great things about their health properties, but I have no idea what they actually do. I just have heard great things about them. Could just be a marketing tactic, though. You know how they do. You know how they have to come up with a new miracle food every year to keep us on our consumer feet. I did say I was going to put shiso into that Whittier salad, didn't I? Oops. Never too late to do that. Let's do that while this cooks. Is there salt in here? Yes, a little, not too much. I'm gonna add a little bit of this Japanese seaweed that is really just encased in sea salt. I think the package said to like wash off the salt, but I was like, oh, this is actually just seaweed salt now. Why would I get rid of anything when I can just use it? So mushrooms, onions, parsnips, Thai chili paste, a little bit of olive oil in there. I might add some other oil in there later. Might add some black pepper now. All right. I'm going to find a lid. Turn the heat down. Let it cook. We're gonna come back here. I'm going to chop up some shiso for that salad. Shiso, which I always confuse with perilla, is a little bit more fragile, I guess. They feel like a little bit daintier. Seemingly browns a lot faster too. Sometimes I buy shiso leaves and they don't ever brown, but these are browning fast. I like trimming on the stems because they're too fibrous to eat, but they have nice flavor. Makes me feel like a goat or a horse. I'm just picking the leaves that look like they're already starting to brown a little bit. I want to slow the contamination, basically. You know, they're not bad. I don't know why they turn brown so quickly. But maybe that's one point for buying more perilla than shiso. Or maybe I'm just storing them wrong. Who knows? I like how you all just go along with whatever I do and didn't even bring up the fact that there's no greens in the salad. Oh, it smells so good. I love the smell of shiso too. The smell of veggies, y'all. I feel like you would never say this about like raw meat. Vegetables, so underrated, honestly. They have so much intrinsic characteristic and flavor. They're edible raw. They're way easier to grow than an animal, which you have to kill to sadness or sounds of fear and panic. And then there's blood everywhere. I feel like that affects how we develop a society too, you know, when you get used to conducting, there we go. That level of violence to survive. And now the salad has greens in it. Hooray. Beautiful. Yum. Let's take a look at Memo. What a patient boy. Wow, the lighting is really terrible from that angle. Simply terrible from that angle. Okay. Alright, let's hope my phone doesn't fall. You good, Holmes? Smells good. I want to taste it a little bit. I think the parsnips aren't quite creamy, but they are cooked, so... Excuse me. I fished out a couple of cubes for tasting. We do still have that like weird Balkan, ajvar, tomato, eggplant, red pepper, walnut paste. I could add in here too before that molds. Since we opened it already last week, I haven't actually checked to see where it's sitting at. Let me turn the heat down on this. Trap that heat. Okay, let's taste the parsnips. Ooh. Ooh, salty. Salty. That seaweed salt is so potent. I don't know why, but it is so much saltier than any other salt I've ever used. It's so easy to over season with that salt. This is delicious, by the way. The mushroom's texture I'm not a fan of. I think it would have done better with a stir fry or a break. It's very waterlogged, that mushroom. Maybe better in a soup. Okay, now I have to think about what else to put in here to like kind of dampen down that sodium level. I think what we can, I have chickpeas cooked. I think that'll be great in here. I do want to see if I can add the rest of this in, because I am worried this will mold and just go bad on me. So I might be fucking up the flavors here by confusing too many cuisines, but let's just go ahead and do it anyway, because I'm that kind of a person. And you know, YOLO, right? All the ingredients in here, pretty much $3. A $3 gamble to learn something. Pretty affordable lesson, I'd say. Much cheaper and lower stakes and convenient than going to cooking school. You know, one of those cooking lessons lasts for 2 to 3 hours, and then you have to commute there. You're committed to stay for the whole class. You can't really skedaddle in the middle of that class. You might be stuck really bored out of your mind, and it costs like $80 to $100 sometimes. Am I right? Am I right? This is whatever you want, whenever you want it. It's gonna make it more of a ratatouille situation. Hello, Memo. What a curious boy. It's giving Italian vibes, but it's got Thai chili paste curry. It's got Japanese sea salt. Now it's got Balkan tomato paste. That's got eggplants and walnuts in it. And you know what? I think that kind of tamed the salt level a little bit. Might not need the chickpeas, although we have the chickpeas and I will eat them this week, hopefully. Because they were cooked on the 11th, so they do gotta be eaten. I have another jar though. I might freeze one of these. So I don't think I can eat all of you this week. Yeah, let's freeze you. Have fun. If you think Memo's hungry, you're probably right. However, I will say he has a omakase layout of 4 treats plus some puree and proper kibble, and he's already pooped twice today, so he's not starving, though he may be hungry. And who isn't hungry these days, you know? Life leaves us hungry. You might not believe this, but I wrote out a whole recipe of how I wanted to cook these parsnips, and guess what? Didn't follow a single thing beyond olive oil. I am a lost cause when it comes to following instructions. I just clearly cannot be bothered. Even when I write my own. I don't know, I guess it just doesn't work for some of us in this world. It's just so much more fun when you can like peek inside the fridge and the pantry and you're like, what can I throw in this pot for extra madness? Got onion, got a slice of mushroom there, got parsnips, got some seaweed. I like it hot, but I like it. I love how Memo hides so well. Look. There he is. And there he goes. Will turmeric be absolutely awful with Whittier? Sorry, I'm just reading some of your comments. Gotta be honest with you, I think curry powder, curry stew might be okay. Just turmeric with Whittier might be dirt on dirt. It depends on what you're pairing that turmeric with. Whittier is already pretty earthy. There's not a lot of other flavor notes there. Turmeric as the singular spice to spice Whittier with, I would not recommend for sure. What is a workman's bowl? That's a workman's bowl? I thrifted that. I have no idea what a workman's bowl is, but if that's what a workman's bowl is, then that's what I have. Oh, the rice bowl that the onions are in, that was my mom's eating bowl. That's a workman's bowl? That has flowers on it. We got some nice princessy workmen there, eating out of flower bowls. I do not have a new cat, unfortunately. I sometimes wonder if Mema would like, but... Okay, that will be all the cooking that I'll be doing today. I should figure out where to put the quick pickles into, but I think mission accomplished, and hopefully I'll hop on tomorrow to cook that salmon skin since I already defrosted it. Thank you so much for tuning in for the madness of it all. I gotta be honest with you, I think the pickles are the best part of a banh mi for me. The sweet, salty Asian pickle is really my favorite iteration of pickles. I don't really like the super sour ones. Which is why I'm not a huge fan of kimchi either, because it's like too sour for me sometimes. I think I grew up with a lot of Chinese pickles that are just like very salty and spicy, and then I got exposed to Japanese pickles, which are sweeter, and also the Korean daikon pickle that's dyed yellow, also great, also love that. I want Memo on the live, so I'll leave you there while I make a label for my pickle. August 17th. You're so cute. I know. I know, you're so cute. I think I'm gonna add a little extra oil in here, and I think it's gonna be like the hot pot seasoning oil that I have. But let me just taste it one more time before we do that. Okay, yeah. Let's add it. I don't, for the record, think it needs this, but shachajiang, oh my goodness, that was an explosion. Has this oil floating in it. Yeah, I like to use that oil. It's like too much to eat on its own. So I like to drizzle it over or stir fry with it as like a seasoning oil. I think with the shiso leaves in there, I just wanted a little extra fat. So this is perfect. I bought this shachajiang because I missed having hot pot with my mom, and then I basically didn't open it until it almost expired, and it expired March 19th of this year. So, hello, ma'am. I'll just mix it in. I don't think it's any high quality oil that they use in there. I think it's probably just like vegetable oil, but they do season it with some meaty bits. I don't know if it's actual meat, but shrimpy bits. So there's a lot of umami. There's obviously also MSG in there, so I think it'll just give that salad a little extra oomph. Let's verify. Is there extra oomph in this bite? Mm-hmm. Yum. All right, I'm pretty happy. We knocked out so many stragglers. We knocked this out. We knocked this out. Cooked up the parsnip. Cut up the onion. Proud of us. Proud of us. Going to give myself a little taste here. Not sure what time I'll go live tomorrow, but I'm hoping it'll be more of a midday cook because I do want to eat some fish earlier in the day, not at night. I want to cook the fish earlier in the day so I can eat it for 2 meals that day because I find that leftover salmon doesn't taste great. But when I cook that salmon skin, I usually just cook the whole pack. So I try to eat as much of it as I can in one go. Let the people hear you protest. Yeah. And what would you like me to do with that protest? What would you like me to do? Tell the people what you need. You want to smell? No, you don't like it. Yeah, that texture on the lion's mane mushroom is a little disappointing. I would say reserve it for soups or roast it, but it's very waterlogged tasting. Probably won't buy that again. Shiitake mushrooms definitely have a way better texture. The dried ones. You live and you learn. Okay. Bye everyone. Say bye-bye, Memo. You heard him. All right, have a good week ahead.